Goldman Sachs is a global investment banking and financial services firm, ranked the second largest investment bank by revenue. Moreover, Goldman Sachs manages over $2.5 trillion worth of assets as of 2022.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Career Max. Today we welcome Stuart Wrigley. Stuart is a partner and head of Client Solutions Group in Asia Pacific for Goldman Sachs Asset Management. So for our first question, Stuart, could you help us understand how GSAM manages such an immense amount of capital? What are the main investment strategies?
Thank you, Aditya, for having me in your Career Max discussion. As you mentioned, I look after the asset management business at Goldman Sachs for the Asia Pacific region. I've been at Goldman Sachs for the last 24 years and done different jobs around the world. When you think about Goldman Sachs, there are, broadly speaking, two main businesses. There are what you typically associate with Goldman Sachs, which is called global banking and markets. And this is where we do investment banking, where we provide corporate advice to companies, and where we buy, sell, trade securities, bonds, foreign exchange. That's normally what you'd associate with Goldman Sachs. The business that I represent sits within the asset and wealth management division of Goldman Sachs. And a significant part of that business is Goldman Sachs Asset Management. Now, we currently manage $3.1 trillion of assets on behalf of our clients. The clients range from individuals right the way through to the largest sovereign wealth funds and pension funds in the world, and we have a broad array of strategies that we manage, and they can range from what I would say the public market strategies, areas like fixed income, public market equities, and what we call multi-asset, where we're investing across public markets. That forms the bulk of our assets under management, approximately $2.6 billion. And then we have what we call alternatives or private markets, and that would be areas like private equity, real estate, infrastructure, private credit, hedge funds, secondaries, other areas where you perhaps have less liquidity in your investments. And then my role in Asia is myself and my team are responsible for raising the money out of the Asia Pacific client base to invest in these global strategies. The strategies tend to be global in nature, but you can have US only strategies. For example, it could be US equities, US fixed income. It could be Europe only, or it could be Asia only, or it could be a variety of all of that. So hopefully, Aditya, that answers your question.
Amazing. And it also answered part of my next question, actually.
Okay.
So moving on, could you give us a rundown of what the life of Stuart Wrigley is like, the day-to-day just workings?
Sure, delighted to. So as I mentioned earlier, I look after the Asia Pacific region, and that's a whole bunch of different countries, right the way down from Japan in the north to New Zealand in the south. So I probably spend 2/3 or 3/4 of my time out traveling. And when I travel, I'm either meeting clients of the asset management division or meeting prospective clients, and I can be talking to them and sharing our views of the world. I can be talking to them about investment strategies, our products, giving them advice on what I think would be good things to buy or frankly, to even sell at this specific moment in time. I could also be meeting our teams because we have teams all over Asia in multiple different countries. So I spend a lot of my time traveling. But on the days that I'm in Singapore, I tend to wake up at about 6 in the morning. I actually meditate in the morning, and it's something I picked up about 4 or 5 years ago. I do 20 minutes of meditation, and I will do that probably 364 days of the year. And the one day that I don't do it, I tend to feel pretty rubbish. So that's a very important part of my day. I'll then see my kids. I've got 2 young kids. They're 13 and 11. I'll see them, and then I'll head to work. On my way into work, I'll make a few calls. If people are up, if it's not a Monday and people are up in New York, I'll check in with people who've happened overnight. If the people who've wanted to speak out of the US and I've been asleep, I'll call them back. I'll come to the office and I'll typically spend maybe an hour going through my emails, catching up on things, and then meetings will start. And these can be a variety of different, variety of different meetings. It could be internal meetings where I will go through with a team or with an individual on my team what's happening in their business, what's going well, what's not, where I can help them solve a problem. Or I'll talk to clients and I'll problem solve. And what I find is the longer I'm at the firm, my job turns more into helping kind of others around me best fulfill their potential, which basically means you're a little bit of a screwdriver or a Swiss Army knife, and there's a problem here, you go and fix it. Someone needs advice here. But I would say on the days I'm in Singapore, about half my time is spent with clients, either clients in Singapore or clients that I'm meeting by around the region by Zoom, and the rest of it is spent internally. The other thing that I typically will do is I try to go to the gym every day. You might, if you look at me, you might not realize that, but I do try hard to do that. Not always very successfully, but that helps me function better. I'll always try and make it home if I'm not traveling to have dinner with my family around 6:30. But working for a US institution, I tend to log in again afterwards. And when New York comes in, I'll spend a couple of hours just catching up with people and dealing with things in the US.
Amazing. I also think it's a really important thing to take a break from your day, meditate or go to the gym. It's also just to clear your mind and get back.
So important. So important.
Okay, so for our next question, like many roles in finance, I can imagine that the work-life balance is more weighted towards work than life. Would you help a young person understand and navigate the balance?
I think it's something of a misconception around work-life balance. I think that days of kind of 1980s Wall Street, where it's kind of a badge of honor to sleep on a toilet floor or sleep on a sofa and never go home and kind of shower using a deodorant can, like those days are long gone. And Goldman Sachs and most of the financial, if not all the financial institutions now respect the fact that people need to have real balance in their lives. But I alluded to in my day, I work pretty hard. I'm not sure the number of hours I work in a day. It's north of 12. But what I would say, and this I think relates to finance or any other industry, is what you do, you've got to really enjoy. And if you don't really enjoy what you're doing, then you start thinking about work-life balance, the fact I don't have enough hours in a day, I'm not prioritizing everything. If you enjoy what you're doing, and I'm very fortunate that I enjoy what I do, it's not really a case of counting hours and thinking around that. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing is it's super important to have hobbies, to have time away from finance. Partly because I think you're better at your job if you're able to find that balance. But you're also more interesting. When I interview someone, and we get loads and loads of CVs, as you'd expect at Goldman Sachs, everyone has very similar CVs. They've been to a great school, they've got great scores in their tests, they've gone to a good university, they've played one sport, they play a musical instrument, they've done a little bit of charity. They all look kind of almost identical. But what I find I look for in people that we hire is people who have something interesting, people who have a quirky hobby, people who aspire to do something different. Their bucket list is a little bit unusual. I think that makes us have more diverse opinions in our teams. And then when it comes to serving the clients, I think our clients find us more interesting.
And in order for a young person to better understand career paths and options, would you share your educational background and career history that resulted with you reaching your current role in finance?
I arrived in finance by accident. So my family have no history in finance. Frankly, I'm not sure if my mom and dad knew what Goldman Sachs was. I think when I told them I worked at a bank, I think they thought I was a cashier and I counted coins and dealt with checks. But I ended up in finance largely by accident. I was studying law at university initially. Then I changed to study politics, philosophy, and economics, but mainly the politics and the philosophy. So I did not have a natural economics or finance background, but I was reaching the end of my penultimate year, my second year at university, and I needed more money to fund my life at university. And a lot of my friends were doing these internships in London that paid you like multiple hundreds of pounds a week. And so I thought, like, why don't I do that? I don't know what they are, but why don't I do it? And so I wrote a CV, I wrote a cover letter, which is how you did it in those days. And I got an internship, and I was very lucky. And I had a really good experience at Goldman Sachs in the internship. And then they hired me hired me full time. And I'll be honest with you, I think a year and a half in, I still didn't know necessarily what I was doing or whether I really wanted to do it. But the amazing thing about finance is it's not all about one thing. It's not about being an equity trader. It's not about being an investment banker. You can be so many different things at these financial institutions. And for me, the best advice someone gave me is don't try and decide when you're too young what part of finance or what part of it you want to do. Go in with your eyes wide open. Realize that what you're going to do first is almost certainly not going to be the best thing for you. Do a great job at whatever you're asked to do. And if you do a good job, you'll be given the opportunity and the ability to move and try something different. And that's what happened with me. I started off doing investment banking. I then moved into our equities business. I then moved from London to the Middle East. I then moved into our fixed income business. I then moved into our investing business. Now I'm in Singapore in our asset management business. So I've gone through many different businesses, many different geographies. And 24 years in, I'm still not sure I found exactly what I'm best at or what I really want to do. But the great thing is, if you build up enough a goodwill in the companies that you work for, you're given the opportunity to try different things. And as I mentioned earlier, it all comes back. You're at your best when you do something you really enjoy and you wake up in the morning and you want to do it. But it takes time to find that.
Yes, thank you so much. That's really interesting. I think more people need to try out different roles and then really find something they enjoy rather than just doing what they've already set their mind on.
Completely agree. And I think at the age you are, Aditya, at 17, like you're not supposed to know. You're really not supposed to know. You're supposed to spend the next 5, 7, 10 years finding out.
Definitely. Okay, and I think we can get one more question then. Okay, so when you recruit investment professionals, what do you look for? Are there any areas of finance that you believe show significant promise and growth over the next decade?
So what I'm looking for, and I alluded to some of this earlier, listen, I'm looking for people who are obviously very smart, but most people whose CVs end up at places like Goldman Sachs tend to be very smart. I like people who are solutions and problem solvers, solutions orientated and problem solvers. I like people who think through a problem in a certain way. When you arrive at Goldman Sachs or another financial institution, you don't need to know the answer, and it's okay to get it wrong, but it's how you think and get to that answer, which tells me a lot about people. And then I want people who are interesting. I want people, if I'm going to sit next to them in a row of desks for 12 hours a day, who make me laugh, who tell me something about myself or about the world that I don't know already. I like people who tend to be quite humble. I like people who tend to be kind of very driven, but with very high integrity levels. And I definitely don't automatically look for people from a finance background. I think some of the better people come from other areas, whether it's history, philosophy, engineering. There's many different areas. So that was on your third question. Areas of finance that I think are pretty interesting. I'm very bullish and very constructive on what's happening in private markets, whether that's private equity, private credit, infrastructure, areas like that. Because in the past, individuals or large institutions would only invest a certain tiny percentage of their assets in these private markets. But that percentage that they're investing is going up and up and up at the moment, and that's creating enormous opportunities. So if I work in that area now, but if I could like write a letter to or go back in time, I would have looked to move into that area a lot earlier. But frankly, that answer is very kind of idiosyncratic to myself. There's fascinating things happening in artificial intelligence, the intersection between technology and finance. But if I'm honest with you, Dita, I'm probably not smart enough to know how to do that, But there's definitely interesting stuff there.
Right. Thank you so much, Stuart, for an incredibly insightful interview. And to everyone watching, if you like and enjoy this content, please consider leaving a follow and liking the video. And to stay up with more interviews, please stay notified. All right. Thank you very much, Stuart. Amazing interview. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aditya.